Shalom friends, it's me Deborah. Today I'm going to tell you a story about David and Goliath. Lord was not pleased with Saul because he had committed a lot of mistakes. Now the Lord said to Samuel, "You have mourned long enough for Saul. I have rejected him as the king of Israel. So fill your flask with olive oil and go to Bethlehem. Find a man named Jesse who lives there. For I have selected one of the sons to be my king. And say that you have come to make a sacrifice to the Lord. Invite Jesse to the sacrifice, and I will show you which of his sons to anoint for me." Samuel began to check carefully each of Jesse's sons. But each time he thought it was this one, God said, "It's not him. Look at the heart and not his appearance." The Lord said to Samuel. Then Samuel asked, "Are these all the sons you have?" "There is still the youngest," Jesse replied, "but he's out in the fields watching the sheep and goats. Send for him at once." Samuel said. And the Lord said, "This is the one, anoint him." Samuel took the flask of olive oil he had brought and anointed David with the oil, and the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon David from that day on. And the Spirit of the Lord left Saul, and he was tormented by an evil spirit. Let's find a good musician to play the harp whenever the tormenting spirit troubles you. He will play soothing music, and you will soon be well again. "All right," said Saul, "find me someone who plays well and bring him here." One of the servants said to Saul, "One of Jesse's sons from Bethlehem is a talented harp player." From that day on, whenever Saul will be tormented by the evil spirit, David will play the soothing music to him. Jesse's three older sons had already joined Saul's army to fight the Philistines. The Philistines now mustered their army for battle in Judah. Saul gathered his Israelite troops near the valley of Elah, so the Philistines and Israelites faced each other on opposite hills with a valley between them. Then Goliath, a Philistine champion from Gath, came out of Philistine ranks to face the forces of Israel. He was over 9 feet tall. He taunted and said, "I am the Philistine champion, but you are only the servants of Saul. Choose one man to come down here and fight me. If he kills me, then we will be your slaves, but if I kill him, you will be our slaves." When Saul and the Israelites heard it, they were terrified and deeply shaken. Looking at them in such fear, all the Philistines laughed. One day Jesse said to David, "Take this basket of roasted grain and these 10 loaves of bread and carry them quickly to your brother, and give these 10 cuts of cheese to their captain. See how your brothers are getting along and bring back a report on how they are doing." So David left the sheep with another shepherd and set out early the next morning with gifts as Jesse had directed him. He arrived at the camp just as the Israelite army was leaving for the battlefield. Soon the Israelite and Philistine forces stood facing each other, army against army. David hurried out to the ranks to greet his brothers. As he was talking with them, Goliath, the Philistine champion from Gath, came out from the Philistine ranks. Then David heard him shout his usual taunt to the army of Israel. As soon as the Israelite army saw him, they began to run away in fright. "Have you seen the giant?" the men asked. "He comes out every day to defy Israel. The king has offered a huge reward to anyone who kills him. He will give that man one of his daughters for a wife, and his entire family will not have to pay the taxes ever again. But none of us are able to fight this giant. He has been challenging us for 40 days and 40 nights. And David said, "If any of you are not going to fight this giant, I am going to fight him." But David's brothers said, "Go back to tend your sheep. War is not some kind of a joke." One of the men reported this to King Saul. When King Saul heard about it, he asked that the boy should be brought to him. King Saul was surprised to see David's bravery. He asked David how he could fight the giant because he was not yet trained. Don't worry about this Philistine, David told Saul. I'll go and fight him. While taking care of my father's sheep and goats, he said, when a lion and bear comes to steal a lamb from the flock, I'll go after it and rescue the lamb from its mouth. If the animal turns on me, I will catch it by the jaw and put it to death. And I will do it to this pagan Philistine too, for he has defiled the armies of the living God. The Lord who rescued me from the claws of the lion and the bear will rescue me now from this Philistine. Then Saul finally let go of David. All right, go ahead, he said, and may the Lord be with you. David picked up 5 smooth stones from a stream and put them into his shepherd's bag. Then, armed only with the shepherd's staff and a sling, he started across the valley to fight the Philistine. Goliath walked towards David with his shield bearer ahead of him, sneering in contempt at this ruddy-faced boy. Am I a dog? He roared at David, that you come at me with a stick? Come over here, and I'll give your flesh to the birds and wild animals, Goliath yelled.